Funding for Over Washington, an aerial celebration of the Washington State Centennial, is provided by Seafirst Bank.
The Cascade Mountain Range is one of the most majestic and prominent features of Washington State. It divides eastern and western Washington and stretches the length of the state from Oregon to Canada. Today, superhighways cut through the Cascades, and it's easy to take the crossing for granted. But imagine tackling these mountains without the benefit of highways, cars, or maps. That was the challenge facing the westward-bound pioneers during the 1800s. The pioneers knew there must be a way. After all, Native Americans had been crossing the mountains for generations on foot and horseback. But loaded-down wagon trains were another matter. The pioneers hadn't anticipated the massive peaks of granite, the thick underbrush, or the steep cliffs. Many had to abandon their belongings and cross on foot. The wagons eventually flattened a passage across what is now known as Snoqualmie Pass, but it could hardly be called a road and was often impassable. Meanwhile, Seattle was growing up, but without a mountain pass, the town was hard to reach. Local businessmen, anxious to boost the economy, tried to raise money to build a permanent road. Henry Yesler, a prominent citizen, even offered his sawmill as first prize in a lottery drawing. But their efforts failed and the mountain trail fell into disuse. The Cascades remained an impressive barrier to travel throughout the 1800s. Travelers were left to choose from a patchwork of unreliable trails to cross over. Snoqualmie Pass, though, was still the road of choice because of its lower elevation, and by 1905 the dirt road had improved enough for motorized traffic. Even then it was tough going. The road in many places wasn't much more than the original wagon trail. Cars got stuck in the mud or in snowbanks. Ferries had to shuttle passengers and their vehicles across mountain lakes, and the passes had to be re-cleared every spring. It wasn't until 1915 that the first permanent road across Snoqualmie was completed, and it took until 1934 to pave it. Finally, the pass was truly open, and traffic flourished in both directions. For the pioneers, crossing the Cascades was a dangerous journey that often took months and sometimes cost lives. Today, the Snoqualmie roadway is one of the most heavily used mountain passes in the country, and thanks to superhighways, the trip takes less than 2 hours.
Over Washington is made possible by a grant from Seafirst Bank. Seafirst is proud to sponsor this series and to have played a part in Washington's first 100 years.